This is the TSG Multimedia podcast for September of 2019. We're sponsored in part this month by Podomatic and the TSG Train Crew on Patreon. Thank you so much. I'm your host, John Abaticola. Summer comes to an end later this month, and in case you missed the announcement, there's a half-off everything sale going on at tsgmultimedia.com, and everything means everything, even digital downloads. So, if you've been waiting to get something, now would be a great time to go do it. Use the code SUMMER50 at checkout to get the discount, just as it's typed down here at the bottom of the screen. Every month, we add more TSG Train Crew members on Patreon, which is really great. Each new Train Crew member helps me create more of the content that you enjoy. I think there's value in promoting model railroading and preserving history, and your support is what will take this channel to the next level, so thank you very much. And now for a summary of what I did last month so that you can get an idea of what to expect out of programs in the coming months. On August 6th and 7th, I volunteered time at the SBHRS to help out with a preservation project. The entrance to the passenger waiting room, which serves as the main entrance for the twice-yearly open house event, was in pretty rough shape, so I repainted it on both sides, and apparently someone had removed a mail slot, so I needed to float the surface of the door and then sand it down and repaint it. It ended up looking a lot better than it was before, and I didn't actually make a video about this particular project, but I did want to mention it because I want you to know that I don't just talk about preservation. I do it too, as often as my schedule allows. My top secret volunteer helped out as well by sewing new curtains to hang below the logging extension in the N-scale layout, and it's looking really good. I can't wait to show you when it's done. On the morning of the 10th, we headed up to Niles Canyon to catch some video of the visiting Skookum locomotive, that's a 2442, that was handling excursion service that day, and this was the first chance that I've ever had to see this locomotive, and I think it's a really cool looking machine. I especially love the dark green boiler jacket. After getting a few shots of the train, we departed for the San Benito Southern garden layout in Hollister. They were having an open house as part of the Bay Area Garden Railway Society's South County Open House Day, so we went and had a great time with our friends Kevin and Curtis Hill. And proof of all the work they've been putting into the layout, the trains ran perfectly that day. I want to thank the Hills for the invitation, and it's always great to hang out at the open house, and it's a perfect excuse to do that, and it was just a great time. So thanks, Kevin and Curtis, both of you. We really appreciate the invitation. On the 11th, the Fern Creek and Western Garden Railroad in Santa Cruz had an open house. As usual, I volunteered to help operate trains at the event, so it was an all-day thing. This is another one of my favorite events of the summer. It's fun to operate the trains, but the real purpose of helping is to make the open house more enjoyable for the visitors. This is yet another way to promote the hobby of model railroading and offer an opportunity for young people to get interested in it. I didn't record video for this event because I was too busy running the trains. I think the promotion of the hobby, especially in young people, is worthwhile, and a lot of small children attend that open house every year, so that makes it a really great activity for anyone who's all about promoting the hobby. On the 17th, we went to Tony Thompson's Southern Pacific themed layout to record for a layout tour video that will come out sometime in the not too distant future. That was a real treat. Tony's not just a model railroader, but he's also a well-known author, and he's also considered one of the most knowledgeable experts when it comes to the Southern Pacific. He has a fairly small HO scale layout, but it's packed with all kinds of industries for operating sessions. And I want to send out a big thanks to Tony for sharing the layout with us. I'm really looking forward to editing that one so that I can share it here on the channel, because I think you'll really enjoy that one. On the 19th, my friends Hunter and Gary came out to the Bay Area to celebrate Hunter's birthday. My part in this was to open the Santa Clara Interlocking Tower, which was Hunter's birthday wish. So while we were there, we went live on YouTube with a streaming webcast that allowed me to test out a live streaming program that I've been trying to figure out. It's called OBS. This program lets you stream a live event with multiple cameras. It also lets you play videos and add graphics to the screen while you're talking. All the things I normally can't do the way I was doing live streams before. So this was a pretty important test for me. I'm planning something later in this month, and I'm going to use OBS for that. And I just wanted to make sure that I get as many of the bugs worked out as possible, so I can bring the production quality of my live streams as close to the quality of my pre-recorded and edited productions as possible. To be honest, I'm not that convinced that OBS will be the final solution toward that goal, but it's the best that I can afford at the moment, and I'll talk a little bit more about this idea later. That same week, I purposely took time to work on an HO scale DCC install that I've had on the back burner for a few months now. It's an Athearn F59 PHI that I'm installing a Soundtrax Tsunami 2 decoder into. This is definitely something that'll be coming out as a how-to video in the near future, and it's going to have a surprise ending that I think everyone will really enjoy. I really want to tell you what it is, but that would ruin the surprise, so let's just say you won't want to miss it. I talked to a guy named Matt Musgrave over Skype on Monday the 26th about a heritage railway in Hawaii, of all places. Let's go to that interview now. Okay, so I'm here with Matt Musgrave from Oahu.
Hey, John, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. So
yeah,
anytime.
Matt contacted me about a museum on the island of Oahu, and they're trying to build a building, basically, and it's a historical society, just like the ones that we have out here on the mainland. So I thought, well, that's interesting. I never knew that there was another railroad on the Hawaiian Islands other than the sugarcane train. So I asked him to come on, and we're going to talk about that now. So, Matt, if you could, why don't you tell me about the Hawaiian Railway Society?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Hawaiian Railway Society was established in 1971. At that time, I guess two important things were, really one important thing was about to happen. There was a company out on the northern side of Oahu called Wailua Agricultural Company, and they were going to scrap one of the last locomotives they had that was kind of on display out in one of their parking lots. A group of rail fans found out about this, got together, got the Wailua Agricultural Company to donate the engine to their newly formed society, which is the Hawaiian Railway, and basically spent the next couple of years fixing it up. And it ran from 1975 to about 1985. We were originally located on some Navy property out of this place called Lualualei, and I think it was either the 80s or the 90s, a little bit before my time. We packed up everything and moved to our current location out at Eva Beach. Currently, we run trains on Saturdays and Sundays, Saturdays at 1 o'clock, Sundays at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And it's all along original right-of-way built in the, would have been early 20th century, so 1910s, 19-teens. It used to be run by the Oahu Railway and Land Company. Their kind of mission as a business was to connect all the different plantations around Oahu and bring sugar from these plantations to the docks at Honolulu Harbor and, ship it out worldwide. Railway served a lot of the military bases during World War II, and then when that kind of closed down, the stretch from this place called Lualualei to Port Lock was taken over by the Navy to run ammunition trains to various, battleships or destroyers that were in Pearl Harbor at the time. Track got put on the National Registry of Historic Places, and we kind of have something of an agreement to run our trains on it during the weekends.
So I would imagine as a historic landmark, or as being registered as a historic landmark, that probably helps you in terms of longevity, right? Like, you're going to be there. It has to be preserved. I mean, somebody can't come along and say, hey, we want to develop this. They can't do that with historic landmarks.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have the occasional roadway that's, ends up being put through, but, luckily for the most part, the agreement we have in the land that we're on is relatively protected. So while the scenery may change, it is all it's all very historically significant because it's all original rail and ties and ballast and everything. So
yeah, that's really great. So can you tell me a little bit about the operation that you run there? Specifically now, I know from looking on the website which we should talk about the website at some point so people can read about this. But just real quickly, that you run on narrow gauge, and that you run diesels, and you have a steamer that you would like to run, but it's not really on the radar yet at this time. But what I'm really interested in, because I looked at a map when I was looking at the website, and it was hard to tell how long the run is for your operations. How far is it out? Because it goes out to the coast there, right?
Yeah. So it's an hour and a half, so it's 45 minutes out, 45 minutes back. We move along at the very brisk pace of about 15 miles an hour.
Right.
It kind of goes through, it starts in Eva Beach. It moves through this place called Kapolei. It's kind of goes to a very kind of suburban sort of neighborhood out behind a Costco, and then out through this sort of big open field, and then to a little resort area called Ko'olina, and then to Kahe Point, and it ends at Electric Beach. And then we have everybody get up, switch sides, and come on back for the return trip.
So is there a runaround track at the end, or do they shove?
No, we just do a shove, and we have the our flaggers stay on the other end of the train, and we're a little bit unique in that we don't just go through grade crossings. We will actually stop the train, stop traffic, and then go through. People in Hawaii aren't really as exposed to trains as much, so we're a little concerned they wouldn't know to just stop if we decided to just roll on through.
Yeah, there's a big train here.
yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
The overall trackage, though, it's about, I think it's 6.5 miles out and back. We could go a little bit further to this place called I think it's Black Rock Beach Park.
Uh-huh.
But we'd have to rebuild a 80-foot long bridge.
Oh, wow.
Which is, always a little challenging.
Yeah,
so.
That'll be a project for the future, probably.
Yes, yeah.
Right, dude, and here I was thinking you were going to say something like, well, we want to go to this beach, but it's a nudist beach, so the kids can't,
Yeah, well, so the place we do go to right now is called Electric Beach, and it used to be one of the best kept secrets on the island. You have all this warm water coming out from the power plant that's out there that the fish love.
Oh, okay.
And so it's really good diving, and it used to be relatively unbusy, but now it's super busy, so everybody likes to go out there and park, and they always wave at the train whenever it goes by, and they kind of like it, so...
Oh, well, that's cool. As long as people like it, that does matter.
Yeah, absolutely. We like to joke we're kind of one of Hawaii's best kept secrets. So
right.
Our little, yeah.
Well, I mean, I didn't know about it, and trains are kind of on my radar because of what I do. So
yeah, exactly.
It is a well kept secret. But I mean, but the thing is, though, when you're in a position of trying to maintain a historic, society like you have, you don't want to be too good of a secret. Right? I mean, you want to be out there so that people know that you need help and volunteers and all that good stuff too, right? So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have a great, we have a number of great volunteers that come out kind of regularly and a small staff, but we have found it's a little bit more difficult just because a lot of the volunteer bases for heritage railways will come from people interested in railroading. Because, they grew up and the freight train went right past the back of their house or something, right? That's a little bit more rare in Hawaii. So it's a little bit harder to come by volunteers, but we're very thankful for all the ones that do come out. And we even have some people who come out on vacations and, the husband will be into railroading and he'll ask, he'll get permission from his wife to come and do track work with us on a Saturday while she goes shopping or something.
You definitely need permission.
Yeah, well, it's happened on more than one occasion, so it's kind of funny.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question because you seem kind of young to me to be involved with something like this. How did you get involved with a historic railroad preservation society?
Well, I guess growing up in Hawaii, especially in the 90s, so I'm 26, just kind of for context. So grew up in Hawaii in the 90s. At that point in time, there was just pretty much besides the tourist railways, there's nothing really left, right? So I got introduced to this railroading thing through Thomas the Tank Engine. My babysitter's nephew brought his little Brio set with the wooden track and everything, and I fell in love with it instantly. I still have my set. So I did that. My uncle kind of saw that I was really interested in this, gave me his like 1960s like O scale Lionel set that I used to set up every Christmas. And then I got introduced to HO scale and started doing that. Right now I collect everything I've taken rides on.
Oh, cool.
So most of it's kind of funny little, engines and funny little consists for the most part. But that are, and, of course, anything that kind of strikes my fancy, nothing too particular. So kind of did that throughout, middle school and high school. Came up to Oregon for university and realized it was such this huge prominent thing on the mainland. Got way more interested in it, started volunteering 2011, back when I would go back for summers and Christmas break, help them with a variety of projects, track work, restoration work, and then joined their board of directors 3 years ago at this point, and I'm the current acting treasurer. So.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. One of the things that I talk about quite frequently on the channel here is youth in, railroading, model railroading, and preservation as well. And I have some, I consider very good friends who do that on the mainland, right, near where I live. And there's kind of a shortage of young people in that, occupation or that hobby. And so seeing your face on here and talking to you is a real breath of fresh air. And to know that this is happening even out in Hawaii. So young people, there's something for you to do no matter where you live if you love trains. And I also love that you mentioned Thomas, because that's one of the things that a lot of people out here like to poo-poo and put down. And no, Thomas is an important sort of gateway to, to getting people involved.
Yeah, I think, it got me into the hobby, and I guarantee it's gotten a bunch of other people, so.
Yeah, I think that's really awesome. So now the reason why we're talking, though, isn't about all that, but I wanted to give people a good idea of who you are and what you do and why you do it. But my understanding, though, is that you guys in your society have a building that you're trying to erect there to get some kind of a museum started. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'd love to. So about 2 months ago, we decided to launch a fundraising campaign for a museum building we're trying to put together. It's going to be kind of a replica freight depot, about 80 feet by 30 feet. And in it, we are hoping to both display as well as house just the huge amount of artifacts that we have collected over the years. Again, established 1971. So since then, railroaders who were served during World War II, have passed away, and their families have donated photo albums to us. We have like all of the original number boards from a variety of these steam engines that used to run on Oahu. We have notably, we still have Benjamin Dillingham's private parlor car that was built in either 1911 or 1914, and we have all of the seats that used to be in that car kind of locked up in this little shipping container right now that we'd love to be able to share with everyone and not just kind of keep to ourselves in the shipping container. We also have the original railway safe that was used by the Oahu Railway and Land Company that we'd like to put on display. So kind of having all of these artifacts combined with the fact that there's kind of a lot of development that's going on both along our right-of-way and kind of near our yard. As an organization, we're kind of realizing we'd like to become more involved with the community and share a lot of these treasures in a way that we haven't been able to before. And, a big portion of that will be to kind of build this little museum building.
Okay, so I am curious. It sounds to me like most, if not all, of the artifacts and relics that you have, they're all Hawaiian, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all very centric to kind of all the railroading that used to be in Hawaii, throughout the late 20th, throughout the late 19th, early 20th century. So.
Yeah, that's really neat. That must be like a real time capsule having all that stuff. That sounds like something that should be built.
I
think. So what are you doing? Are you trying to raise funds for it, or what's the procedure like? Say I'm Joe Rich Guy here on the mainland. I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. I want to be able to go visit this museum when I'm there in my house on Hawaii. What would I do to get a hold of you to help out?
So we're doing kind of a direct donation fundraiser right now. we're basically taking checks payable to the Hawaiian Railway Society, which can be mailed to, if I can plug this, I suppose.
Yeah, please do.
It's a P.O. Box 60369, Eva Station, Eva, Hawaii, and the zip code's 96706. Hawaiian Railway Society is a 501c3 nonprofit, so with all the donations that we've already kind of had slowly coming in, we have been sending out donation letters with our tax identification number in there, because other 501c3s, all donations are tax deductible.
Right.
So.
We have a lot of 501c3s here on the mainland, and I think everybody goes for that tax deductible status, so that they can get donations, and I think people are more inclined to donate if it is tax deductible. So that's really great. So I mean, how close? Is there a timeline? How close are you to raising the funds that you need to build this museum?
That's a great question. So we are going to try and apply to some higher level grants towards the end of September. So really, we're trying to show that we have a pretty significant kind of donor base, and both kind of from our general membership as well as kind of from the public at large, and then our board of directors have all given some money over to show that we're kind of everyone is really behind this project. So end of September, we're hoping to apply to some of these grants, probably hear back towards the beginning of next year, and then with any luck, start, if we have enough funding for it, start kind of a lot of the major construction, maybe towards the beginning of summer 2020.
Okay.
And, with looking at finishing it in hopefully a year and a half.
Oh, that's really excellent.
And then moving everything into into it, and getting a display set up probably at the I would say. Well, a lot of this stuff, it's volunteer-run organizations. It's always kind of difficult to figure out a time frame based off of availability of everyone. But with any luck, maybe Christmas of next year will be completely set up, and the museum building will be open to the public. It might be a little bit longer depending on how things kind of pan out. But
well, sure.
I'm hopeful.
Just whatever. I'm really just asking what the plans are. It's okay if you don't end up hitting all the plans. I'm not going to call you back. Hey, you said it was, it was going to be there already. I'm just curious what the timeline was, or if what you're expecting. Like, it's not 10 years from now. It's like something more immediate than that.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
That's really cool.
Within the next 2 years, definitely.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I think that we have enough information for people to get started here now. But there is a website which I don't remember that we've talked about yet. We should definitely plug the website so that people who want to learn more about the Hawaiian Railway Society can do so. So what is the website?
Yeah, so the website for our organization is just hawaiianrailway.com. A lot of the information on there is about our rides, a little bit of information about the kind of the history of the organization. And then we do have some info up there as well about the museum building. So
sounds great. So Hawaiian, say it again, Hawaiian?
hawaiianrailway.com.
Okay, so it's not a .org. That's interesting.
Yeah, if you just Google search train ride Hawaii, we're pretty much the first hit. So
okay, cool. All right, well, hey, thank you so much for joining me. I think that people will find this interesting, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Don. I hope people find it interesting.
Okay, let's go back to me in the studio now. Something kind of funny. After we finished the interview, I found out that Matt lives and works in Portland. And I mention this because the whole time I was talking to him, I thought he was coming from Hawaii. I also found out that he volunteers at the Oregon Coast Scenic Railroad and knows my good friend and TSG Train Crew member Trevor Park. It just goes to show how small the community is. So thanks again, Matt, for taking the time to talk on the podcast. I can't wait to get out to Oahu one of these days and visit the museum your group has planned. Actually, that sounds like a great topic for a video, right? Hint, hint. Maybe we'll have to do that in the future. On September 1st, we went to Fremont to document Railfair at Ardenwood. I've been talking about this event for years on the channel as one of the best railroad-related events in the Bay Area. I had produced a podcast segment about it in the past, but I wasn't as happy with that podcast segment as I could be. So there will be a new and improved video about Railfair at Ardenwood in the future. I had a production day with Jason Hill on September 2nd. We recorded for actually 3 programs, one about antenna stanchion replacement parts and fixing up SP daylight cars, and 2 more about weathering with acrylic paints. Not only are the techniques that Jason shares on the videos easy, but they're also very inexpensive. On the 3rd, I volunteered to run trains at another open house at Dave Connery's garden layout for the National Narrow Gauge Convention that was being held in Sacramento last week. Dave has a garden layout and has a great HO scale layout as well. His modeling skills are superb, as evidenced by the photos I took. We've been talking about doing a layout tour or 2 before he dismantles everything. It's a shame to see craftsmanship like this get dismantled, but you know what we always say, hey man, it's my layout, and at some point it's your decision what you're going to do with it. I want to mention I've been hearing about how good the narrow gauge convention is for a few years now, and I would really love to document it on the channel too. So if anyone involved with organizing this event is watching and interested in seeing something like that happen, give me a shout so that we can arrange it. One of the things I've focused on this year is documenting railroading events on video, such as the Layout Design SIG Meet back in January, and the Sierra Seminar, right? That came out, I think, last month. And the NMRA National Convention, there's a video on that coming out later this month. And right now, the Narrow Gauge Convention, Winter Rail, O-Scale West, and Euro West are all on the radar for maybe next year. So anyone involved with any of these is invited to contact me so that we can make some plans to get these events covered in 2020. Yesterday I was out at Niles Canyon recording some behind the scenes footage for a program I'm working on for the event that they're holding this weekend. That event is going on today and tomorrow, so you might want to get out to it, by the way. They're running a special double header with 2442 Skookum and 2662 Clover Valley number 4 pulling a special 150th anniversary train through the canyon. Now I know what you're thinking. The 150th anniversary was already celebrated in May, right? Well, there's a small technicality about the Transcontinental Railroad that a lot of people don't know. Yeah, the connection from the Atlantic to Sacramento was completed in May by joining the CP and UP at Promontory, but the connection all the way to the bay, which really signified the coast-to-coast completion, didn't happen until later. And it just so happens that it occurred on the right-of-way that the Niles Canyon Railway runs on. So that's what they're celebrating. And I plan to be out there on Saturday for sure, chasing trains with the usual suspects in order to document this event. It's not every day that they run steam, let alone double-headed steam, let alone 2 articulated steam locomotives in one place. So this should be a really great sight, and it's going to make for a good video too. Later this month, we'll be enjoying a private ride on YV330, the historic piece of equipment that Sydney and I have been dedicating some time to helping with over the past year and a half. Not much and not enough, but we did as much as we could. The car is owned by Wes Swift, and it resides in Niles Canyon. Wes has been working his tail off along with a lot of volunteers who have done way more than I could have ever dreamed of putting in the time for. It'll be really great to see how it looks in person, and this will be a rare time, so I'm actually going to enjoy the moment, and I won't be filming a video. But I will take some photos and share with you probably next month of this really nicely restored car. There are some other things in the calendar, but these are the ones I'm most looking forward to. I want to mention I created a new design for the TSG swag store on Teespring. Check this out. I don't even really know what inspired me, to be honest, but I think I was reading someone's political post on Facebook or something like that, and I thought, hey, what about this saying? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of trains, right? Sounds like a lofty goal to me, especially for those of you who really like chasing trains. You can get one of these shirts at the TSG store on Teespring. If you're watching on a computer, just click on one of the links below the screen here and check out what's there. It's another way that you can help me bring the programs that you love to the channel. Since most of the events happening in September have already passed last weekend on Labor Day weekend, I don't have anything else specific to mention as an upcoming event in this podcast. But just because I haven't heard about events, that doesn't mean they aren't happening. So I encourage you to seek out events in your area and get out and learn about the history being preserved there, because chances are it'll be fun and you'll learn something that you didn't already know. That's really what this historical preservation stuff is about, learning about where everything came from. I have some important announcements to make with the upcoming schedule, so let's get to that now. On Saturday, September 14th, so next Saturday, it's the Hudson Terminal N-Scale Shelf Layout Tour with Chris Brimley. This is one of the layout tours I recorded when we were out in Utah for the NMRA convention in July. Chris is a really talented modeler, and his layout shows that you don't really need a huge space to create something special that you can enjoy a lot. On Saturday, September 21st, it's Chasing Trains with Sparky 107 Part 1. I talked about my friend and TSG Train Crew member Dave coming out from Canada back in June. Remember? We even did a live stream from the interlocking tower when he was here. Well, I got around to editing the video I took while he was here, and it's enough for 2 episodes of Chasing Trains. This is part 1, and it includes the first half of Dave's stay. It's a lot of fun, and we did some cool stuff, so don't miss that. Then on Saturday, September 28th, we have TSG Multimedia's coverage of the NMRA National Convention from early July that I just mentioned a minute ago. This video documents the convention as well as the National Train Show, and I regard this video as one of the best ones I've done this year. And I want to mention that TSG Train Crew members got a special sneak peek of it during August, just to point out another reason to become a crew member on Patreon. I hope you won't miss this video because I'm really proud of the way it turned out. Also on September 28th, and this is a big one, remember when I was in Utah and we went live completely unannounced on a Saturday evening with some of the guys that were hanging out at Alvin's place? I called that live stream a Saturday night roundtable discussion, and it was about an hour-long, basically panel discussion about model railroading. Well, that experience led me to wanting to try something like that here with local experts where I live. I also talked earlier in this podcast about trying to hone my live stream production skills with OBS. Well, that's what's happening on September 28th at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Put it in your calendar now and be present if you can, because this is the first of its kind as a scheduled live roundtable discussion with legitimate experts like the guys we had in Utah. And if it's a smashing success, I'm going to devote resources and time to developing it as part of the regular schedule. I talked about wanting to get a live video switching device called a Sling Studio on the live webcast that I did with Gary and Hunter last month, and this is what it would be for, live streams like this. I was surprised when he said it, but Gary has generously offered to match anyone donating up to $800 to get a Sling Studio. So let's make it happen. I think that having discussion panels on a monthly basis to cover hot topics in model railroading is a really cool idea, and it'll give you, the audience, a chance to ask legitimate experts questions on a live show. So those are all the scheduled programs that I have on weekends. In addition to that, every single Wednesday this month, another Layout Tour Remaster will be released. The Layout Tour Remaster series are layout tours that came out at some point prior, but have been improved by going through and correcting the color, improving the audio, and replacing substandard still photos and music that didn't really add to the program's production value. It's a great series for the channel because when these layout tours originally came out, we had fewer than half the number of subscribers as compared to what we have now. That means that thousands of viewers are seeing them for the first time, and that generates some really great engagement for the channel, helping it become much more visible and adding a lot more subscribers. The other excellent aspect to all this is the fact that nothing promotes the hobby of model railroading like a good layout tour. I have some products on deck here for N-Scale Friday and product spotlight programs, so you can expect some of those this month as well. I'm figuring that fall will produce more opportunities for activities to document, but probably not as many as summer. So I should have more time to get to the modeling projects that got pushed to the back burner for the past few months. Who knows, I might even get to try my hand at some weathering before the year's up. We'll see about that. So, okay, if you're able and interested in helping me get a live video switcher with Gary's matching funds offer, You're welcome to contact me at podcast@tsgmultimedia.com, and we can figure out a way to make that happen. That would be really excellent. And as always, I want to invite you to become a member of the TSG Train Crew on Patreon. The Patreon page was started a year ago on August 28th. It helps me bring the high quality content that you enjoy to the channel. So if you can help out with $2 a month or more, head over to patreon.com/TSG Multimedia and find out what kind of behind the scenes stuff the train crew enjoys. It's not really much, but if enough people do it, it'll add up, and it all goes to support the content that you enjoy. Something else I found out that I want to share with you is that you can join Patreon with a custom amount by scrolling all the way down past the levels that I've set up and selecting custom amount. It's right here at the bottom of the page. You're the best viewers on YouTube, and I thank you all for your continued support. I'll see you next time.